Welcome back to Clarke's Ring Rants. Let's get straight into today's video. So it's the end of the week. This video is going to come out on Friday. We've got a bit of boxing news I wanted to talk about, and we've got a few fights on the Fury-Makhmudov undercard that I just wanted to preview. But just before we get started, if you could drop a like on this video, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, it'd be really appreciated. Thank you everyone. Let's get into it. So firstly, I wanted to talk about Frazer Clarke versus Justis Huni, which will be happening on the Fury-Makhmudov undercard. Now, I think this is a really interesting fight. It's a crossroads fight for both fighters. They both have one common opponent. They've both been stopped by Fabio Wardley, but they were stopped in very different circumstances. Frazer Clarke was stopped in the first round of his rematch with Fabio Wardley after previously going the distance with him and actually battling to the draw. Now, if you look at the current heavyweight landscape, that performance and that result has aged quite well for Frazer Clarke. Yes, he was knocked out, he was flattened within a round in the rematch, but in that first fight, he pushed Fabio Wardley all the way. He was there with him to the very end. And then if you look at what Fabio Wardley's gone on to achieve since then, he's stopped Joseph Parker, he's stopped Justis Huni, as I mentioned. He's going to go and fight Daniel Dubois in a world title fight. He's achieved big things, and Frazer Clarke can hold his head in high regard. Now, since that, Frazer Clarke's career has probably not gone in the way he wanted it to. He lost to Jeamie Tkv last year for the British title in a pretty underwhelming performance, I think, by his standards. He's an Olympian. He would have had big hopes and dreams when he turned over, and it's just not quite played out that way for him. But here, I think this fight is sort of like a crossroads fight, like I mentioned, but more last chance saloon for Frazer Clarke, because if he doesn't win here, I'm not really sure where he goes. He's probably going to go down a similar path to former Olympians like Audley Harrison, David Price, just going to be gatekeeper, British level sort of thing. They're not going to go on to achieve world honours. So this is a must win for Frazer Clarke here. And by the same metric, it's a must win for Justis Huni. Another talented boxer, good amateur background. He's coming off that defeat to Fabio Wardley, where I've said it in previous videos, he must be absolutely kicking himself. He was boxing Fabio Wardley's head off in that fight. I even thought, wow, maybe he could stop him here. He could overwhelm him because Fabio Wardley couldn't lay a glove on him. And then in that 10th round, he just got greedy. He walked himself onto a right hand. He traded with Fabio Wardley. And then Justis Huni, he never recovered after that. He got up, but he was on shaky legs and the fight was over. So he'll be really bitter about that, given what Fabio Wardley's gone on to achieve. And I'm sure he'll be looking to make a statement here in this fight. As for a winner, I'm going to go Justis Huni. I think Justis Huni's got the boxing skills, the hand speed, the foot speed to get a victory over Frazer Clarke here. Frazer Clarke, not a massive puncher. Both guys could come out cagey. They've both been stopped. I think we could see a bit of a technical fight here. But I think for the reasons I've just mentioned, Justis Huni is going to win. He's going to get the decision here and he'll move on to bigger and better things. But let's see. Next up, I just wanted to talk about Richard Riakphore challenging Jeamie Tkv for that British title. So Jeamie Tkv, last time out, he beat Frazer Clarke in a bit of an upset, I guess it's fair to say. He beat him on the inside, he outworked him, and he showed a really good gas tank over the course of the fight to come away with that British title. Obviously, Tkv, he had that fight with David Adelaide that ended in a bit of controversy. He hit him on the break. A lot of people think that should have been a no contest and they should have rematched. But it's worked out quite well for Tkv anyway, and he finds himself here on another massive card with a lot of exposure, and he'll be taking on Richard Riakphore. Richard Riakphore is coming off that victory over Tommy Welsh. A decent-ish run out, I guess. He was meant to fight Lawrence Bakole last year. That fight never materialised. His career's been a bit stop-start since that loss to Chris Billum-Smith. He's moved up to heavyweight, but he's not really gone on to do anything. 36 years of age. I guess you could say this is last chance saloon again for Richard Riakphore. If he loses here, where does he go? I'm not too sure. In this fight, you've got a classic case of the boxer versus the puncher. Richard Riakphore, we know he's not the most technically sound boxer, but he can punch tremendously well, especially with that right hand. He's definitely got the power to hurt and stop Jeamie Tkv. Jeamie Tkv, however, has the boxing skills, I believe, to outbox Richard Riakphore. So I guess it depends. Can Jeamie Tkv implement a game plan to stay away from that right hand and box his way to a decision? or will Richard Riakphore be able to find that right hand? We all know Richard Riakphore's output sometimes isn't there in fights, and his gas tank. And despite the aesthetics of both fighters, you'd probably have to say TKV has got a better gas tank. So for my prediction, I believe if TKV can take this late, he can use his skills, he can avoid that right hand, because I do think if he is hit with that right hand, he will go down. But I'm banking on him being able to stay away from it. I believe he will win a decision and retain his British title on this Fury Makhmudov undercard. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Will Richard Riakphore chin him? Will TKV's boxing skills be too much? Here we've got some breaking news, and that is that Zuffa Boxing have acquired 2 more potential stars to their stable. They are Richardson Hitchins, who's IBF Super Lightweight World Champion, and Edgar Berlanga, former world title challenger, who recently was stopped by Hamza Shiraz. We all know Richardson Hitchins had that public spat, I guess, with Eddie Hearn last year, where he said he was a free agent. Turned out he wasn't a free agent. There was a bit of back and forth. He's not really seemed willing to fight people, you know, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, whoever be the champions in his division. He seemed a little bit, you know, standoffish, doesn't really want to take too many tough fights, it seems, at this stage. He beat George Kambosos last year. He stopped him. I believe he's the first man to stop Kambosos. That was a really good win. But since then, there's not really been much from Richardson Hitchins. He's probably going to get stripped of that IBF belt now. And I guess this move makes sense for him. Listen, if he's got no intention of fighting the other guys in his division, why not go over to Zuffa? The only issue for both him and Edgar Berlanga is their weight classes are not recognised by Zuffa. So what are they going to do? He's going to have to either move up to welterweight or move down to lightweight. And Berlanga is going to have to move up to light heavyweight, most likely, because those middle divisions, those super divisions or junior divisions are not recognised by Zuffa. And Edgar Berlanga, he moves over to Zuffa Boxing. I'm not sure who he was with before. I think maybe was he with Top Rank? I think. Don't quote me on that. But he moves over. He's not really in the conversations for any world title fights at the moment. He's a bit of a mouthpiece. Dana's going to be able to sell him to that Puerto Rican crowd. So, to be honest, I think this move makes sense for him. There was whispers of him fighting Chris Eubank Jr. a few weeks ago, but we've not heard nothing about that. But yeah, we've got 2 more American-based signings for Zuffa Boxing. He'll be looking to build that stable, pad it out, and I'm sure these 2 will be run out pretty soon. But yeah, Richardson and Hitchins can probably kiss goodbye to that IBF title and any potential unifications. And then finally, we got this tweet from Martin Bakole. And I've been wondering, I think I've mentioned it in a few videos, where is Martin Bakole? It's all gone quiet. We've not heard from him. Why has he not been talked about for any potential fights? And then he posted this tweet. I'll leave it up on screen. But the basic gist of it is Bakole had a fight lined up and Ben Shalom's blocked it. And he's now accusing Ben Shalom of ruining his career, of putting it on hold, and basically been the reason that he's not been able to fight recently. Lawyers have got involved. It looks like an ugly, messy legal dispute. Now, we all know Ben Shalom, his assets, they're diminishing at the moment. He's losing fighters left, right and centre. And a commodity like Martin Bakole, he'll be clinging onto him for dear life. But we're not sure of all the details. Maybe Ben Shalom is well within his rights. Martin Bakole signed a contract. There's clauses in there, there's rules, there's regulations, and if he's not willing to adhere to them, Ben Shalom has every right to block him from fighting. But who knows, maybe we'll get an interview from Ben Shalom, we'll hear his side of the story, maybe Martin Bakole will speak more, maybe Billy Nelson, his mouthpiece, he'll pipe up, he'll come out, start crying. Who knows, but we'll see, we'll get more news as it comes. But for now, Martin Bakole ain't going to be in any fights anytime soon. He's on the shelf, and I don't really know how much ambition Bakole has left. He got that massive payday to roll over for Joseph Parker. He had the fight with Ajagba where he looked underwhelming. He doesn't appear to have been taking his career serious. He's been coming in fat as a pig for some of his recent fights. So yeah, maybe Martin Bakole, he's got the bag, he's lost the hunger, and now he's going to be shelved for even longer. Because there was a stage around 18 months ago, 2 years, he seemed like the heir apparent to the heavyweight throne. But that seems a long way away now. But anyway, that's just a quick roundup of some more boxing news, a few more previews and predictions for this weekend. But what are your thoughts on the stories I've covered in this video? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.